So, little bit since we've done a Warhammer video, so let's fix that. And as you can see from this video, it is basically, what if the Skaven invaded Middle-earth? So what if you just dropped all the clans of Skaven and plopped them in Middle-earth? Arguably the best fantasy series of, Lord of the Rings, the best fantasy series of all time. Don't fight me on that, you will lose. So, what would it be like if you brought arguably the worst of the worst from Warhammer Fantasy and dropped them in Middle-earth? Let's talk about that. So, the big thing is we have to talk about first and foremost is, what would the Skaven be like, with Mordor? Would they be allies? Would they be enemies? I kind of lean towards enemy. But Multi, I hear you say, in End Times, the Skaven hooked up with Chaos. Yeah, but End Times was fucking stupid. The other times, like when Nagash and all that other shit happened, they always the Skaven only care about the Skaven, and if you try to annihilate, if something happens that could be like, end of Skaven, it would be yes. The Skaven are going to help in some MacGuffin-y way to take down that enemy, rather than, unite with them and also be like a, other force of other hand of chaos and feel generic. As much as I, have read more about Warhammer Fantasy, the more I'm like, man, End Times really sucks. Like, holy shit, I see why people don't like Warhammer Fantasy has been crippled, as of late because of this, absolute chicanery. So, let's talk about, the idea of that. No, I don't think... Personally, I don't think that the Skaven would unite with Sauron or Saruman or any forces of Mordor. They would be their own faction, much like how they were in the... how they are in the world of Warhammer, where they don't even... initially they don't like working with Chaos, or the vampires, or anything involving Nagash, or the Chaos Gods. They have their own Chaos God, the Great Horned Rat. Now, the Skaven in Middle-earth would be nothing short of a major disaster for all parties. Because, Sauron has plans. Sauron has... Sauron is more than... Sauron is more than capable of... Sauron is more than capable of having this meticulous plan for his forces. The Skaven like to throw wrenches in those ideas. If you're any kind of faction, you are going to have a monkey wrench thrown into your whole plan. That's just how it's going to be. So yeah, it's kind of a bad thing. So I do see the Skaven as their own faction in this universe. In this scenario, the Skaven would be without a doubt a force of their own. So, yeah. Now, the Skaven would be, like I said, a faction of their own. Meaning, they're going to war with everybody. Hell, the Skaven will go to war with themselves half the damn time. And that kind of works in Middle-earth's favor in a way, because the Skaven, if they were united as one big clan, they'd probably take over the whole goddamn continent. Let's be real. They kind of took over half the continent in of itself and wiped out several factions during End Times. Hashtag still, End Times still suck. But still, if you get the Skaven, united under one force, whether it be under some prophet of the Great Horned Rat or Lord Nardwall, they are a force to be contended with. Now, the other thing is, let's talk about who they really have a stick in the craw for. The dwarves, because the Skaven are underground, and the dwarves themselves, much like the Warhammer dwarves, the dwarves of Middle-earth are very stubborn. They're very antisocial. They don't seek out help from others, and they have deep underground caverns that the Skaven in Warhammer gladly be like, hey, that's a cool fortress you got there. That's ours now. That's how they run. Also, they'll just steal gold from the dwarves because they can. They don't do anything with gold. They just steal it because they know, oh, the dwarves like this. It mine now. And they'll just throw it in a pile or just dump it somewhere. and do it only because, oh, lol, it may, it's trolling the dwarves. The other major thing is that the dwarves here in Middle-earth aren't as technologically advanced as you would see in other media. So they don't have really, like, flying contraptions or anything. They have shields and swords and arrows and, siege weapons to protect themselves. And that's another major element that I think would fall in the Skaven's favor. Because the Skaven would arguably be the most technologically advanced race in Middle-earth. Whereas in Warhammer, you do see other races, human, elf, and dwarf, use kind of like almost borderline steampunky technology to... the Skaven themselves are more than capable of, building what is essentially the Rattling gun, which is like World War I level tech. So if you bring that, and also you'd have to bring the warp stones over, the Skaven would be the most technologically advanced race in Middle-earth. I mean, yeah, gunpowder was just used for one thing in the Siege of Helm's Deep. The other thing that is in their favor, numbers. For every Skaven you kill, there's another 25 waiting to stab you in the back, and then probably stab each other in the back. That's just how the Skaven roll. So, if you thought the Battle of Helm's Deep with 10,000 Uruk-hai was bad, you have not seen the Skaven just come in droves. They will gladly step over their the dead brothers and fight and fellow soldiers just to get at you. And again, these guys would be carrying weapons that would be almost like magical versions of World War I tech. Those warpstone cannons would definitely just tear... They wouldn't need bombs. They wouldn't need, like, a scene in... If they were fighting in Helm's Deep, they wouldn't need, like, one guy just running with a bomb, running with a Tor tray to blow up a bomb in the wall. They'd just be like, bring in the warpstone cannons! And they would just be wheeling in these cannons to just fire at the walls to tear down Helm's Deep. And again, these guys have numbers, and let's not forget, from Clan Scryer, from the Grey Seers, you have... they have magic on their side. It's not like they have one wizard. They got multiple, like, dark sorcerers on their side. Furthermore, they have, like, horrible abominations that they will take the living or the dead or their own kind and make them into horrible monstrosities that no man could possibly comprehend. I mean, it's one thing to fight a troll, to fight a cave troll or a Balrog. It's another thing to fight something right out of it that would make your nightmares go, I just shit myself. So, keep that in mind. The humans, yeah, they would literally be much like in Warhammer, the Skaven would be tunneling deep underneath the cities and then explode out of the ground after ringing the bell 13 times, just for psychological warfare. Among other things, let's be real, among other things with this whole thing is that the Skaven would look at everyone as just, oh, you guys are cavemen compared to us. Yes, yes. And that, yeah, they're just going to see themselves as the superior race, whether it be human, dwarf, elf, orc even. Like, yeah, again, I think like it would be almost paramount for like the Mordor or Isengard to try to like use some silver tongue politics to, try to convince the Skaven to join them on sheer numbers and technology alone. But the Skaven would be like, we don't fucking need you. We could kill everyone ourselves. So, yeah, they would be also battling with Isengard and Mordor because they would want they just want to be they want to be the superior form of the superior race, for lack of a better word. These horrible rats. They want to be the rulers of Middle Earth. And what would they think of halflings? Oh, you mean snacks? That's what they would see, the halflings. I could totally see these motherfuckers torching the Shire to the ground and then enslaving and eating the hobbits. So it wouldn't be a good time to be a hobbit, especially since the Skaven love areas that aren't well protected. The Shire is just unknown. That's why it was safe for most of it. It was just kind of off in the distance and not even like noted. So if the Skaven found the Shire and find there's no real force to protect it, oh no, that would probably like the Shire would be burned and diseased. The hobbits would be killed and tortured for fun, made into horrible abominations. You would be better off just like if you were a hobbit, you would just be better off offing yourself. Yeah, and the elves, yeah, they're gonna like they could hold their own against the Skaven, but again, numbers are always a thing with them. You kill one, there's about 25, 30 of them waiting to kill you regardless. So, the way I see it, the Skaven would probably be the most damaging thing to ever come to Middle-earth. Yeah, that's just how I see it. They just have the numbers, they have the technology. The only thing that's really saving Middle-earth in any kind of way is the fact that the Skaven are, well, the Skaven. They're gonna backstab each other in a heartbeat. They can't be well enough united to be a major threat to dominate Middle-earth. They're gonna be busy infighting each other, and I do see like the forces of both good and evil using that to their respective advantages, trying to manipulate the Skaven into essentially just killing each other constantly. But that's just how I see it. You guys let me know in the comments below. What do you think it would be like if the Skaven invaded Middle-earth? Just comment below, let me know. Other than that, hope you all enjoyed this. I'm Mr. Multiverse. I'll see you next time in Multiverse.